one.
Hello and welcome again to another episode of Romancing Our Stones, your male survival guide to media and pop culture your girl will likely drag you to. This is Alex.
And I am Matt.
And today we have the hometown episode of The Bachelor with Matt James. Big episode.
It's a really special week, Alex, because this is the week when he goes to everyone's home city and gets a taste of the flavor of the town and culture that they grew up in. And he gets to see a little taste of where they come from. And this podcaster was shocked that all four girls grew up on that hotel's grounds.
What are the odds?
I had no idea. Like, Michelle didn't have to travel very far if her classroom is in the auditorium of the hotel.
I mean, the fact that she not only grew up there, but she ends up working there as well. I mean, don't they have a phrase like that when you're raising a puppy? You know, you don't shit where you eat.
Yeah, don't dip your cap. Don't put your pen in the company ink. Am I right? Ow! No, literally, Serena P says in one of her head or like slashing, like I don't know, it's cutaways. Editing, it's not The Office, but whatever it is. She's like, I can't wait to show Matt where I grew up. And
well, I want to get into how weak Serena's hometown ended up being, but let's get there. What are we drinking first of all?
I'm kind of naive, but before we get in, I'm naive in the sense I thought that Canada was a country. I didn't realize it was the bar room in that hotel.
I just like that everybody at least had something planned, where hers was like, here, come into the events bar room and I'm going to teach you geography. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, Canadian history.
Even Michelle, the teacher, didn't teach him anything.
Yeah. We'll get to it. But what I am drinking from Denver Beer Company, Incredible Pedal IPA. It's 12 fluid ounces of 7% IPA. It's a good one. It's a local staple.
If you ever come to Denver, if you don't live here already, if you ever come to Denver and looking for a good local brewery, Denver Beer Co. is it. I'm jealous.
And they call it the pedal because I talked to the owners of the brewery about this. It's something along the lines of like their conveyor belt was powered by bike for a short while when they started, because they didn't have the money to have the machinery.
Use electricity.
Yeah. So the hamsters were all obviously taken, so there was no hamsters available to do the hamster wheel, so they rode the bike.
Well, they're busy running the internet. That's why.
Oh,
heavy machinery these days. The hamsters are safe. They keep the internet running. So
what's kind of funny? I thought today, because I was signing into our Podbean account, and they added a CAPTCHA thing where you have to prove you're not a robot. And we're so worried about robots taking over the world, yet we're so confident that they can't click a box that, I think we'll be okay. All we need to do is put a CAPTCHA button on the nuclear codes, and there's no way they can do it. Forget the double keys. Just have a CAPTCHA button, or say click the street lights, and the robot will be like, shit, I can't do this.
Could you imagine some hacker who built a robot to go into the system, and all of a sudden he's about to open up the little glass box over the big red button and says, wait, how many photos have traffic lights in them?
Oh shit.
Shuts down. Robot just shuts down.
Yeah. World is safe.
Self-destruct so nobody can find out who built it.
The things I think of, let me tell you. What are you drinking?
I'm going right down the road, Breckenridge Brewery, again today. But I've got the Hot Peak IPA. So we've got competing local brewery IPAs here. This one is 6.5 ABV though. So this will put Papa Alex right to bed. So
he'll sleep hard, man. Well, it's funny. So I was at Breckenridge Brewery 2 weeks ago or about, and they have a huge sledding hill that they constructed on top of hay barrels
for the kiddies,
for the kids.
Yep.
And so my son wanted to go down it, and there's like an ice wall at the end of it to prevent you from,
living if you get enough
flipping
speed
over or whatever. But the dude at the place pushed me and my son down so far, we spun. So I was heading backwards, looking uphill, and I am a 240-pound man. And I hit
with pre-existing back problems from football.
Yes. And I hit that thing, and I'm not exaggerating, at like 13 miles an hour, which doesn't sound very fast, but
10 miles an hour is like a full sprint for those that aren't paying attention to that.
We hit that thing, and my son and I popped up out of the tube, and I landed on my back on the ice, and then my son landed on my chest. Oh, no. He was kind of jarred. He's 5. He's going to be 5. It was Jackson. And I was like,
oh, it was Jackson. Okay.
And I was laying there. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in so much pain. And I'm like, I signed that stupid waiver. Why did I sign the waiver?
Yeah. And meanwhile, you're like, I got to pop up with a smile on my face and not rip this guy a new a-hole.
And I got to look brave and not cry in front of my son to show him like, don't be afraid.
As your nerves are just firing.
As I can't feel my toes. Column. Yeah. It's so,
oh God.
I wouldn't recommend that to any adult. Keep that for the kids.
I will say I was there on Sunday and they are tearing that down.
Oh,
they were tearing it down that Sunday. So I think it's just like, who knows? Maybe it's getting to the point where it's too cold during the season where nobody's really hanging outside. I don't know, but they're tearing it down.
Thank goodness. I probably would inspire them to do that.
You're probably the inspiration. I know we have the waivers, but we probably should just get rid of this thing.
Yeah, look at this fat ass go down the hill. Oh shit, he hit the wall.
We're gonna kill somebody.
This is no longer safe.
That paperwork doesn't cover death.
I was worried it was gonna hit my neck, but I digress. I just
or the back of your head.
Whenever I see Breckenridge Brewery, I just think about my poor back. But anyways, we're back. And the episode starts out with another Peloton ad, a very strange workout montage where Matt is wearing pink shoes.
Mm-hmm. They're not his powder pink ones though from his date with Kit.
They're like fuchsia. They're like breast cancer awareness pink.
Yeah. Well, the ones with Kit, they were like whoopee cushion pink. They were like this flat brownish pink color.
Oh.
Yeah. It was,
well, we don't have Kit anymore to guide us in fashion sense.
I didn't realize that Matt had multiple shades of pink shoes, and that also needs to be addressed, I feel like, at some point.
Like
his friends are like, bro, what is your choice in shoes?
I used to joke and say, like, this isn't pink, this is medium rare. This is medium, this is medium well. He doesn't have any excuses. And my shirt actually is red. It looks pink in this video.
It looks pink on the camera. Yeah.
But
I was like, is the pot calling the kettle pink here? What's going on?
Seriously, I'm tickled pink over here. So I'm like a walking gender reveal. But
hey, we're getting into some rabbit holes real fast here.
I know we haven't even talked about the show yet. Something I didn't know. So this is during quarantine, because obviously we're still technically in COVID protocol.
Obviously fall of last year is when they're filming this thing.
Yeah. How did these families know that their daughter was going to get to the Final Four? And then if they flew out and then forced to quarantine like Heather did, was the Final Four predetermined like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before they were actually given roses to? Or do they have everyone's family out there?
Yeah, I think, you have to assume that huge hotel's got to have the room just in case, right? But one way we can kind of break this down, probably you're better at thinking these things through than I am. Michelle had a hometown. Michelle mentions to her parents that she showed up 3 weeks late to the show. So if we can, how many episodes had to pass for Michelle to show up? Because we can probably break that down and be like, well, X episodes is X weeks, right? And
technically 3, right?
Well, then it's an episode a week. So then we've seen her we've seen Michelle for about 3 episodes then, right? So it's been another
4 because this is week 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That she's been around for 4 or 5 weeks then. So the reason I say I try and break that down, it just means that with Michelle, she probably been like, I got a one-on-one. He really likes me. And I think it's, who knows?
But it wouldn't be the girls asking their parents out because all the girls seem surprised at who was there. So I guess my question really comes down to is that, like the production has the final four. The producers have the final four. Yep. If in this scenario, if the quarantine ends that way, and I'm wondering if, what if one of the final four, what if their ponies like has a major blow up? Like Serena P should not have been there this week with that weird sexual yoga date. She's not feeling him. Everyone could see that last week, and yet she pretended she was all excited. I'm a cheerleader, and I'm going to show you Canada. It's like,
and I want to address that whole thing because I actually got like viscerally upset with the fact I'm like, what are you doing here? Then the way she's describing how she's feeling, I'm like, then what are you doing here?
It's like, I'm contractually obligated to be here.
Probably, like, maybe that, and I'll forgive that, right? It's like they're like, nope, sorry, you gotta drag this out because we paid for your family to quarantine here. So. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it though. So we get the girls are all chilling. Matt says after his Peloton ad has concluded that he mentions that.
Speaking of Peloton ad, you're wearing a Peloton shirt right now.
Well,
who is in your ear?
Chris Harrison.
Chris, where are you?
Little did you know, I've been secretly taking advertising on the side, all for myself with our podcast, just so you're aware of.
You asshole! That's why you bring up Peloton every episode.
Did I mention there's a Peloton in this episode?
You see, that's such an easy way. Follow me at Mets23.
I didn't even plan this. This is actually really hilarious. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But so Matt basically says, after he gets off his bike ride and puts his pink shoes on, does some floor exercises, he talks about how this week's the hometowns, and I always think it's kind of funny when the Bachelors put in their shoes for a second, and he goes, I quoted him, "You only get one first impression," and I'm like, yes, and that's how all these girls have been basically treating every interaction with you, because basically it's all one elongated first impression.
I know, and I loved how Matt got sent home this episode.
Yes. and I love the fact that you could tell he got just as much of a kick out of it saying it, because he jumped the gun on her. He was like, will you mind walking me out?
I wrote down in my notes, I'm like, this would only be better if she said, can I walk you out, after she said, you're not my person.
Yeah.
But
he got it, because I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, he's bummed, but he's got a sense of humor enough to really.
Yeah. He said stinks like 17 times. It stinks. It really stinks.
So let's get to that date. So Chris Harrison.
I'm in a mood tonight, man. I'm just jumping around all over the place.
It's jazz, baby. This is the jazz episode.
Yeah.
Jazz flute. Here we come. But so Chris Harrison walks in, says, he goes, guess what? We have your families on campus. To which they're all like, duh. But
hometowns, family,
importance. They act surprised, which I'm like, wouldn't they have expected that? But
I don't have to tell you how important this week is, but it's important.
Super emotional. Like, I'm like, you had to have known this is the next step. Like, you don't think Chris Harrison, the production crew, is not gonna bring your family out? Like, anyways, I digressed. Let's get into the first date.
He goes on a date with Michelle, and they go for a little bike ride, which is more chaotic than they showed in the actual show, thanks to the end credits. She asks him this really strange question. Do you picture yourself as a double bike dad? I don't know what that really means. I'm a trailer pull guy. Like, let them sit in that little thing, have some snacks and water. They'll be happy that way.
I think what she was referring to was a tandem bike.
I knew what she was saying, but even still, I mean, Matt jumps right to when the kids are like 9. I just see him whipping past me. It's like, no, dude, you have some time before that. I mean, you're a dad of 2 months now. You got some time before they're whipping past you.
My kid's already kicking me off the bike. It's hilarious.
That's how I picture it. She's like, oh yeah. And then I don't know if you notice this, but every time Matt gets uneasy, he just laughs, and he like bends over and laughs.
Yes. Yes,
because they go to her classroom, which is again stationed strategically within the hotel grounds, and they have a Zoom class going on, and the kids ask him like, "Is Matt your boyfriend?"
Yes.
Do you want kids? It's insane.
And he doesn't do the full knee slapper laugh with the other families, but like when the dads, every dad conversation he has in this episode goes exactly as every other dad conversation has gone, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's not really a point to touch on it other than the fact that when they ask him those questions, like he's like, "So you've been going on dates with other girls?" And he goes like, "I've been going on dates with Bree. I've been going, like he always just says there, like, "Well, I've been going on dates with her, yes, And
focus
but again,
on what we have.
He smiles. He has a little chuckle, and then he it buys him time to figure out what his response is going to be.
I'm a little nervous for Michelle though, because the last time his relationship had a title or a request for a title, he dumped her ass. So, like her writing's on the wall for her if they're trying to get this boyfriend title. The only funny thing from the date that I thought was funny, like the kids thing was not funny.
No. What's funny is that they both called each other beforehand to make sure they were wearing the same thing.
Oh, I know the blue.
They're matching. Yeah.
I noticed that. But I liked how they were drinking juice boxes on the blanket. I thought that was really funny. In front of the playground. Did that playground exist on the hotel grounds, or did they just construct it just for this date? The world will never know.
Or was it a 30-mile bike ride? We don't know.
They're in the next county.
That ending credit though, they show where he clipped her bike trying to bike run in circles around her.
Yeah,
and then his bike chain got all ripped up. His bike fell apart. That was pretty good. It was pretty good.
And then she had
go ahead. I have to say, I thought, and I was going to text you when I saw this. I thought that they did the editing like color band again, because when they're riding off the distance, I see this red band on Matt's right above Matt's jeans, like waistline.
And like his butt crack was out.
Yeah, and I was gonna be like, "Oh, you're gonna love it. They have another one." And for once, I felt like I caught it, but then I realized his boxers were just bright cherry or fire engine red. Wow. And it ruined my night because I thought I caught one finally. You're always the one that catches those edits.
I didn't see that, but that's interesting. I mean, a boxer pull is pretty good too. I don't discredit yourself.
We'll have to go back to the tape and see.
That's pretty top-notch sleuthing, if you ask me. But
I like butts. What can I say?
Can I lie?
Even if it's Matt's, Oh,
your other brothers can't deny. So he has a conversation with her parents. I thought he was a little too polished with his dad. His answers were not really genuine. They were more kind of canned, in my opinion. I thought her dad was great. He seemed like a really cool dude. And then her mom said something odd when she said, "Do you see your dad in him?" And I'm like, well, okay. And it's like, well, your dad always puts me first. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is her dad a simp? But no, but it's like I don't even. That was just a weird way to say. Like, can you imagine like if you brought Vanessa, your wife, over to your parents' house and your mom pulled you aside, like, or your dad pulled you aside, "Do you see your mom and Vanessa?" You're like, nope.
and that's why I'm marrying her.
Oh yeah, she's the one because she's just like mom.
Yeah, I thought there was a little bit of like Othello syndrome going on here. Yeah, because like
nice pull.
Oedipus. Or Oedipus. I'm sorry, not Othello. Oedipus. But I thought that it was. It's funny you mentioned that because I remember her saying that, and then actually looking at Michelle's dad, he looks just like an older iteration of Matt.
Yeah. He kind of looks like Rod. He kind of looks like Rod Carew.
Yeah.
Angel's great.
Yeah.
Minnesota Twins great, and they're from Minnesota. Is it Rod Carew?
It's Rod Carew. Is her name Michelle Carew? That's my last name.
She's Miss Young, according to the shirts. But I don't know. Then they play hoops, and then Michelle drops the L bomb.
Yeah, well, mom asks her if Matt could be the one, and she says, well, she doesn't say yes. She kind of gestures like, yeah, she's nodding her head in agreement, and she's getting emotional. And you obviously find out she's got some backstory with a really bad previous relationship, which they haven't really brought up too much.
No.
Other than this date, they never brought it up. So, or Michelle never brought it up. So, that might be interesting if that comes up.
Well, she drops an L bomb. Her dad hasn't seen her smiling. She was smiling like her old self. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. Next was Rachel. Rachel picks her up driving what looked to be like a convertible PT Cruiser. I have no idea what kind of car that was.
It's a Plymouth, and I forget what it is. I think that was kind of a cool car that unfortunately spawned the ugly PT Cruiser.
PT Loser is what I called them.
Of the early 2000s, yeah. Yeah, which I was like, okay, that was an interesting car choice. But can I just say, Rachel, out of all the contestants, maybe in Bachelor history, is legit, because she goes, we're going to go on a date, and she's going to take advantage of the fanfare of Bachelor and the unlimited budget that they have.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, we're going to go skydiving. F it. Like, I would, like, that's a legit move.
Her skydive instructor looked like a 12-year-old in purple sunglasses. So maybe they couldn't spring the budget big enough to get an actual professional diver.
And boy, did they regret that.
Oh gosh.
I watched that 4 times over, not because I'm like this sadomasochist, but because I was looking, because I know a lot of the time, and I haven't gone skydiving, but I've talked about it. I don't know if you've gone, but
I have not.
All the time when you get close to landing, they say, pick your legs up, don't get in the way. Otherwise you're going to hit first because they're lower, right, on the tandem. And then they're going to drag under. And the way they fell, it looks like that. I'm like, she gets caught under. I'm like, was she not keeping her feet up? But that's why I watched it over and over again. It was definitely that kid's fault. He came in, I don't know if he caught a dust or something, but he swooped in there so hard and hit the ground so hard. It was all on him. He didn't soften that landing at all.
Did you say you went? I wasn't paying attention. Did you say you went skydiving before?
No, but
when did you go skydiving?
No, but when I talk to people, they said like the instructors go like, like the whole thing, like when you jump, you keep your head back so you're not getting whiplash, or it's not gonna, slam your face back.
Yeah.
And then when you land, they say they go, let me land. You keep your feet up, and then once we land, you can put your feet down.
I thought it was weird the entire time they were falling. They were talking to each other, but obviously they couldn't hear each other. So it looked like they were saying sweet things to the jump instructor. Like Matt landing, like, we did it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it sounds like you and like, I don't know what the instructor's pants are up or down behind you. Like, I'm confused.
At this point, the way he landed, I'm just glad that he pulled the parachute cord, because like that girl could have been down with some serious injury.
And Rachel's falling, and she's like, I'm falling for you, Matt. And I'm like, he can't hear you. Like, stop. And you're not talking to me. Stop saying my name. Get your name out of my mouth. Get my name out of your mouth.
One of my notes here is Rachel's jump buddy is barely 18. I like the 12 comment better, but I'm like, this kid's barely 18.
Yeah, and I quoted Matt here when he said, she's not supposed to take impact like that. Yeah, no shit.
Nobody is supposed to take impact like that. She essentially got hit by a bus going like 15 miles an hour.
She's gone faster than that. And then Matt was so worried she was hurt that he realized he was in love. And it's like, which is crazy because, like,
I'm so glad you brought this up.
If I saw someone get in a car accident, I'm afraid that they're hurt. It doesn't mean I love them. It's like, oh crap, they might be hurt. Let me pop over the median here and see if they're okay. It's not like, oh my God, I'm in love. Who is this?
Love at first impact.
I was just like, what are you doing?
Well, that's funny that was the way you processed that, because the way I processed that was, all right, so like, yeah, he says he didn't really know how deeply he felt for her until that happened. And I'm like, okay, so all it takes is for her to severely hurt herself and show you that, for you to actually have, like, realize that you have feelings. Like, good Lord, man. Like, oh man, I guess there's that phrase, if you love something, let it go and it'll come back.
Yeah.
For him, it's if you don't know you love somebody, let them fall to the ground at almost terminal velocity.
Yeah. You put him in a Saw-like situation where, like if she saws off her leg, then she wants to live.
Want to play a game?
Yeah, unbelievable. I was like looking at that too, and I was just like, okay, like odd, okay, but I'm glad that you feel that way.
I guess, yeah.
Rachel was talking to her family, and she said that no red flags have come up yet. I don't know. I can think of a few.
Yeah.
When he went up to Sarah's room when she was crying and didn't come back after 5 minutes, there's a red flag.
Yeah.
The fact that he, I mean, there's so many red flags that he's had in this season.
The fact that he dumped his last girlfriend the second she wanted to put a label on it.
I mean, and he told her that story.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The dad thought it was too fast.
The fact that he wears knitted sweater or turtlenex all the time. Both short sleeve and long sleeve. You know, these are concerns.
There
these
are very much concerns. Dad said he couldn't see the process working if there were other women. I don't disagree with him.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, they what I like about this show is that the dads are based, you know, and I'm sure these dads, the last thing they wanted was for their daughters to go on a show like this.
Right.
And because I know I wouldn't, I'd be like, oh, yay, not. But I think that what I do appreciate though is that Matt told him, and I don't know if he told the other dads this, but when he was talking to Rachel's dad, he did say, like, I'm not asking for hands in marriage for any of these girls, just to check a box. Like, which I appreciate that move.
I liked that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Before we move on, because she did not like that. And all of a sudden she's like, I don't know. Rachel's getting very ultimatum-y too. Like the fact that he didn't ask really concerns me. You know, like I think Matt's approach is more practical.
It's more based.
But before we move on, Rachel's dad was drinking his drink so awkwardly. He was sitting back.
I was not paying attention to that.
And he was holding it up to his mouth and slipping on the straw, like, and then when they go to Rachel's cutaway, all you can hear him is like him clinking his ice with a straw through the whole thing. It was pretty wild.
So one of two things are happening there in my theory, right? My theory is one of two things are happening. One, he is just a really awkward dude when it comes to drinking drinks. Or two, he's doing it on purpose because he knows she's going to get embarrassed by it. Which could be a total dad move.
Total dad move? Possibly.
I might do that. If I had a daughter on that show and I got that far, I might do something really stupid. Like, who is this dad and what is he doing? So he could be a cool dad like us.
Yeah.
That's how it could be.
It could be. But I don't know. They had a lot of ominous sounds with Rachel's family. So moving on to Bree.
Do you think that they're playing it up because she might be the winner? They're trying to add some drama?
I don't know. We move on to Bree. She has
pretty much a nothing burger of a whole thing.
She has a Jeep brought to you by the University of Oregon. And
the lime green one.
What's that?
The lime green one.
With the yellow shimmer.
Yeah.
She said, and I quoted, "This bumpy and crazy ride is just like this really has how this relationship has been." And I like puns. I like puns. I like puns, and I didn't like that. That just didn't sit well with me. She's worried about not having a conventional family, which he's like, I don't have that either. And then something that happened that no one addressed, and it was never brought up again. He walked up to the front door with a massive rabbit, a massive stuffed rabbit.
Yes.
Literally a 6 foot tall stuffed rabbit. And then it was never mentioned again, nor shown.
I think it's supposed to be for the baby sister. They obviously did not cut that scene in where he gave it to mom or whatever's going on. But
baby sister too. We need to talk about that. What?
Because mom looks what? How old does she look?
Well, Bree's what? 27?
Yeah.
Is she 24? Is she young?
No, she's 27.
So mom's got to be. Let's say she had maybe a 16, which I think is the case. Was that the case?
It might have been. I don't know.
So 45, and she has a newborn.
Yeah.
And Bree does not know how to console a baby.
No.
Goodness gracious.
She literally just sat right next to Matt, bouncing a baby, screaming in her ear, being like, "Ready for this?"
Look, it's working. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I see my future." And I'm so blown away. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, the baby's not stopping crying. It's like, and they would have edited it to make her quiet if it would have worked at one point during the whole thing.
Yes.
You know, it probably would have been better to cradle the baby rather than throw it over your shoulder and bounce it. She wasn't even burping it. So why is it over your shoulder? I mean, baby 101 people. I know all my single guys listen to this are like, yeah, Matt, we get that.
Totally relatable podcast.
Gosh, this guy is spitting pure fire.
I will say though that at 27, I had no idea how to hold a baby. No idea whatsoever.
Yeah,
so
I did
that's
because I had
changed.
one.
Yeah. You were an early bloomer, Matt.
I was such an early bloomer.
Your mom says you were a late bloomer, but with babies, you were an early bloomer. Okay, so
my sexual flower bloomed late, and my baby bloomed quickly. So everything you hear about unprotected sex, people. Anyway, okay, no, that was a joke. It was totally planned. All right. Did you notice how her mom took the wrong chair around the fire? She took Matt James's chair. And so
the left facing.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I wonder if they production freaked out because she just kind of wobbled up there and sat down, and then Matt was kind of like, and then so Matt had to awkwardly step over her. Step over her. It's like crotch or butt. Yeah, I don't know which one.
Straight out of Fight Club. Now will she get the butt or the?
But then they have a conversation about, do you see Bree in your life? She said, do you see Bree in your life? Which I think is a really odd question. It's kind of like
it's overly generalistic.
It's like the water boy. Like, do you seeing a lot of girls, Bobby? Yes, I see a lot of boys too. It's like you can answer that question and not lie because you are really seeing her in your life right now.
Yes.
So what are you trying to get to? Last night I saw my mom and Coach Klein.
I was beginning to think at that point too that Matt continues to meet with these parents over this fire pit, and I was like, man, what would this campsite be called? I think I'd call it Camp Discomfort. Can you think about it? Like Matt, every time 4 times in a row, walking over to the same, like, here we go, going back over this fire pit.
I think it should be called Camp Wana Yadada.
Wana Yadada.
It's a famous tribe in that area.
It reminds me of another tribe, the Wanabanga Topangos.
Was that Boy Meets World fan club, or what is that?
Oh, it's too good.
But Serena's mom said, worst thing you do if you let your heart out is that you have a broken heart, and we'll mend it together, but we'll survive. I thought that was cool.
I thought that was cool.
I
think it was one of those things where she kind of was giving her permission to like, go see how far this takes you, and if it leaves you broken hearted, like we've been there before, like we'll tackle it just like we've done it all the time. And like, so like super solid mom. And, so it looks like she's had to be an independent single mother her whole life. So that's, she's kind of playing more of a patronly type of position there, and holding the family together. So like props to her. I think she's pretty cool.
So Bree drops the L bomb, and Matthew James responds by saying, "Thank you for sharing that with me tonight."
That's how you react, right?
It's not like he hasn't told girls he loves them this episode, this season. So what does that say? Serena's next. Matt runs up with super insanely tight pants. She said that she can't wait to show Matt where she grew up. Obviously, she lived in the hotel.
The Canadian wing.
And I have here, she sounded like a cheerleader the whole date. And I think we talked about that in the beginning. But then they have an entirely Canada-themed date, which How I Met Your Mother did a better version of this date when Robin Scherbatsky missed his Canada. So I digress, but they ate Canadian things and played hockey.
Well, and she had a map of Canada on a board. She'd be like, now, can you find where I'm from? And I just laughed because when they first walked into the room, Matt's first words are, "Oh, geography." Which at that point, I'm like, so far, Matt's gone on a lovely bike ride, played some basketball with the family. He's skydived. He went off-roading. I feel bad for Serena in this sense because she doesn't know these things, but like his response says it all. Oh, geography. Cool.
Maybe it's like
what you had planned.
Maybe it's like Breaking Bad was like, yeah, science. Maybe like, yeah, geography. Maybe he's all fired up about it. you know,
Oh,
but it's kind of funny because like she was acting like as Americans we should know Canada.
yes.
And it's like, we don't. And to our Canadian listeners, I know the front countries of Canada. I know those. The top ones I don't. But like even all the things that are being released right now, it's like you and I grew up in California. We have no idea about Ohio State history. We have no idea about Texas. We know about the Alamo, but we have no idea what happened there.
I know nothing about Oregon. And there are neighbors to the north.
Yeah,
except the Oregon Trail is where they were supposed to end up, was in Oregon.
So we live in this world now where we're expected to know everything about everything, and know, like, I knew poutine was Canadian. I still want to try that.
I've seen that bacon thing. I didn't know. I've never seen that.
The spam, the ham.
Yeah, the ham
looked good. All of them looked good.
It was.
And then they had like a being gay. I wonder if that was the French influence.
Probably. French Canadian.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't mind the date. The hockey thing, he was clearly a better hockey player than she was. Which I tried ice skating the other day, and I even was talking to my mom because we were up at the ice castles this past weekend. It's like, it's amazing how talented these hockey players are on skates. I could barely get around the ice trail. Granted, like if I practiced it every day.
Yeah, I completely agree. When you get the hang of ice skating, then you realize, all right, now put a stick in your hands and then juggle a rubber puck and watch out for dudes trying to take your head off. And then try and play. But the craziest thing I know, Michelle could probably tell Matt this, is like, and if they get together, if she wins and they have kids and stuff and they're happily ever after, Matt's gonna learn real fast that she's probably gonna put their kids on skates at like 2. In Minnesota, their kids are born with skates. It's crazy.
I don't know how they fit in the womb, but they do. But it's like, I thought it was a cute date about Canada. Like, I'd want to know about Canada, but she just gets so mad when he didn't know. It's like, I don't know. Well, tell me.
I think the reason, the degree of her anger that bothered you was before we fully find out that she's not really into him. So if you weren't really into a guy you're dating and you didn't know anything about the country you're from, I could see that maybe the reaction might be a bit more visceral than than you otherwise might if you liked him.
Well, and she also said there was 11 points on the maple leaf, and I counted 12 because I don't know if she was counting the stem or not.
I would guess it would have to be the stem, right?
I don't think it. Let me pull it up really quick.
Because if we look at this, I'm gonna pull it up too.
We're doing a deep Canada dive here. This is all for our Canadian listeners, and we love you.
She said, how many points? All right, so
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So she said 11, but if you count the stem, it's 12.
Wouldn't it be 13? Because there's 2 points on that stem on the bottom.
Technically. He said 13. Didn't he say 13?
Yeah, he said 13.
But she said, no, 11, dipshit.
It's like if we're talking about angles sharper than 90 degrees, then there's 13. But what do we know? We're Americans. We don't know about Canada. So
I want to know more.
maybe some of our Canadian listeners can tell us whether we're right or whether Serena's still right with 11.
I'm open to learn.
I look at that stem and I see 2 points down there at the bottom. So it depends on what you describe as the points as well, I guess.
So I typed in Canada on Google, and it says people also ask, is it expensive to live in Canada? Is Canada a safe country? Why is Canada so expensive? Is it better to live in Canada than the United States? So we want answers to all of them.
Interesting.
But then she goes and meets.
I also see one that says Canadian tuxedo. I want to know what that's all about.
What is it? Isn't it?
Oh, listeners, Google that one. That's hilarious.
She meets her family. Her sister thinks Serena isn't smitten. Serena's really struggling from a past relationship. I thought it was odd they didn't show Matt with her dad.
Yeah.
And Matt says to trust him when she asks him a difficult question. I don't know what he's done to earn her trust.
Well, I like that Matt also, when he first talks to the family, when they're all sitting down in the living room, that he went in this to find someone normal. Don't know if that's the hottest entry to talking to a girl that you like and her family. You know what? I really like her because she's so normal.
Looking for a plain Jane, someone that
Sarah Plain and Tall. That's Serena Plain and Tall. Maybe that's what the P stands for Serena P.
I just want someone that walks in the room and just gives adequate light.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for.
I'm not looking to be inspired.
I want someone who nudges me, not gives me a push.
Yeah. This goes way back to your original diagnosis of being like, Matt's just kind of an awkward dude. I think the production makes it so he has a very tight leash to kind of roam around on, but when he does get that freedom, he's just awkward. So I think you're right. Like more and more I've been watching, like he is kind of just an awkward dude in some aspect.
He's going rogue. Get him back on track. Yeah. I can see myself with your daughter. So
bring back Victoria.
So then he wants to have a conversation with Serena because he doesn't feel like she's reciprocating. I noticed right from the beginning she was using past tense language. We had a great relationship. If you're talking to someone you're currently dating and they start the sentence off like that, there's going to be a but, and it's not going to be good.
It's already over at that point. It's not like your relationship's no longer Schrodinger's cat. It's like, no, the cat's dead.
I found out that breakups don't mean anything if both people don't agree to it. If you object to the breakup, you're still technically together. I've had that happen to me.
Good to know.
So she said, I don't think you're my person, which is another one of those like live your truth comments that I despise. You're my person or whatever it may be. I think it's a cop out.
Well, you know why it's a cop out? Because she's not actually pinpointing exactly why she doesn't think this relationship's going to work.
Correct.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Not my person.
She
said, give
him
some constructive feedback. Like
she said, I'm living my truth and I'm going to speak my truth to power and you're not my person. Huh?
Yeah.
It's like the screeching thing. So
I think briefly we need to address that once he goes, he takes it extremely well. And he's like, no, I totally understand where you're at. Like she basically tries to break up with him, but again, because she's so vague and she's not specific, he thinks that this is still a relationship. And he goes home being like, hey, I understand. You need your time to think about things. Like she even says like the little breakout sessions with the production crew. She's like, I'm surprised you took it so well. And I love when the next morning he talks to Chris and he brings up this conversation, and Chris immediately goes like, hold up, like stop the record, right? It's like, and he's just like, you need to talk to her now because you're not picking up on something. Like he's like, you need to talk to her about this now and get this figured out. And I think Chris already knew the writing on the wall. It's like, it sounds like she tried to break up with you and you didn't take it as that. You need to talk to her about these feelings right now.
Yeah, and she's sitting on the couch. He opens the door. She's like, I didn't know I'd be seeing you, but I have a mic on.
Well, yeah. Whoa. Hey, just put this on your hip and just stand by.
Yeah, you just act normal. Yeah. Just want to get you breathing. Some heart overlays. Yeah. So
and then again she lets him down a little bit harder.
Yeah. And then Chris Harris, like she's like, but you're just not my person. He's probably like sitting there like, but I'm your super person. I am your super duper
I'm your
person.
bachelor.
Yeah. I am your boyfriend. So Chris Harrison, before the rose ceremony just comes up, he's like, how you doing? And Matt all of a sudden word vomits like all these things. And then Chris is like, good. See you out there. See you at the rose ceremony.
I wonder if there's ever times in recording where Chris Harrison is so checked out. He's like, I gotta walk over and just ask this poor schlub who just got dumped.
Well, if you watch that scene again, Chris walks out from like behind the fireplace and he has a face kind of like he doesn't care, and then he turns and he saw Matt and he goes, he does a nod with a smile, like, "Hey, I'm in character now."
I did catch that. I totally did, because he comes out from around the corner and he looks like he's just like straight lipped.
It was like if you could add sound effects, it'd be like, hey, hey, yeah. Come on, happy go lucky Chris.
Sure. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I forgot about it until you said that. Now, like, I totally remember him coming through like the entryway. Yeah. And then turning the corner, and as soon as he turns that corner, he's like, "All right, smiles on, let's go. Hey. Let's make that money.
Yeah, let's make that bread." So then Matt gives roses to the remaining 3 girls. Bree's mad that she was given the rose last, and that's how the episode ends.
Which at that point, I'm kind of thinking, how nice must it be at that stage in the game when you really care for this guy, to know that one of the girls either Matt let go or walked herself out, and that by default, automatically, you guys have all made it to like basically the final portion of the show. Like,
I thought it was. I think I'd react the same way as Bree. Like, I wouldn't be like, "Why did I get it last?" But like, he started on the left side of the line, and I'm like, "Oh, left or right? I'm next." And then he like hops over you, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And then you're like looking at the last rows, and you're like, "Am I gonna get that?" I mean, I could like I could
figure it out.
I was in my head. I was like, okay, they're not doing alphabetical order or reverse alphabetical order. They're not going left or right. And so what is this process here? I get that. That's how my brain works.
Well, here's the thing. Then, all right. So this might explain it. He handed them out in the order which he dated all of them.
Oh, that is.
He did Michelle first. Then he went to Rachel. So he went in chronological order of the hometowns. Could be that. Or again, they just play mind games with poor Bree. I like that story better.
I think you nailed it. I think that was the order of the hometown. So that was the episode. At the end of every episode, we give a stones rating based on our enjoyment of the show. 2 stones. We each have 2 stones to give.
Naturally.
2 stones means that the episode was good. You liked it. 0 stones means an act of castration would be preferable than watching this. Alex, what do you give it?
This one's tough. I mean, it had elements that should have made it really exciting, and I just felt like it wasn't really that exciting. I mean, you had bodily harm, you had skydiving, you had off-roading in a Jeep, you had, I thought it had a lot of really fun elements to it, but it just kind of fell flat. Like I said, Serena P kind of irritated me. She should have just signed herself off the last week after that one-on-one where she was awkward. Yeah. Because she just wasn't feeling them. Like, so I felt like she was kind of wasting everybody's time at that point. So with that being said, I mean, I don't know. I'm feeling generous tonight. I'm gonna give it 1 stone, I guess. Okay. So it wasn't that I didn't like it, but it wasn't. Again, it fell flat. It wasn't.
I give it 1 stone as well. I mean, I don't know. I'm conflicted because I want the show to be more like this, and then I get it. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Where's the mean people? Where's the drama?
Where's the fire? Yeah.
Like, you didn't have any family members say like, no.
Like Sean's season where one of the brothers was a huge dick.
Yeah, I mean, there's none of that. Yeah. So I'll give it 1 stone. It'll be interesting how this ends. It looks like someone walks away, or gives him an ultimatum. So we'll have to pay attention and see. But don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at RO Stones Guys. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, share. Thank you. You guys have been doing awesome sharing and subscribing and retweeting and all these fun things. It's really helping us out.
We appreciate that. We love you guys.
So keep it up. If you want to be on the show, slide into our DMs, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Y'all have a great week.